Welcome again. Now, work came to a standstill for 2 hours Friday morning at the various ministries, departments and agencies here in Accra as workers stepped out of their offices to pick up brooms and other implements to help clean up the ministries. The workers were complying with a directive from the Chief of Staff as part of government's campaign to ensure that the President's vision is to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa is realized. Maxwell Akpakpa was at the ministry and now reports.
If you don't be part of this, if you don't participate in this cleanup exercise, then I, the one that you are hearing, I myself, I'll bring your query letter. You must be part of this cleanup exercise because it's the goal of the President that the city must be clean. It's the goal of the President that the city must be clean.
We are currently here at the Ministry of Health. This vehicle from the Information Services Department is reminding workers here at the ministries to come out between the hours of 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock to help clean the ministries. And that's a directive from the Office of the Chief of Staff, we are told. And already the workers here from the Ministry of Health are going about this duty.
Yes, our ministry's role would be to create more awareness among the public about how cleanliness relates to health. You know, there's a direct relationship between cleanliness and health. And so that is the more reason why we will have to play a very key and supportive role in this direction. Talking about reality, I think it will all depend on all of us. If we are determined to make it so, we will achieve.
I believe strongly that, as we all say, that the wealth of a nation is the health of the people. We all know sanitation and health are major investment that we make in order to keep the health of the people alive or make the people healthy. So if you are tackling health through sanitation, I think it is a good idea.
Many have described President Akufo-Addo's vision of making Accra one of the cleanest cities in Africa as an ambitious target. They say it is not possible. All these workers on a normal day would be in their offices, but today they are outside here helping to make Accra one of the cleanest cities in Africa.
I think it should be a conscious effort for all of us to get our environment very clean. Apart from our household, our places of work too should be very clean. And I think we should inculcate that attitude. You know, it's a change of attitude and minds. If we renew our minds and change our attitude, they should be a regular thing we should be doing.
You know, apparently I've been working here, but this morning alone, the kind of filth and the dust that we have collected from just around us, it has been awesome. It has been surprising. Not knowing we have all this filth around us and we have been living around it. It has been good enough. So if you have to repeat it every Friday, gradually, it's going to go a long way to live up to that billing that we want to be the cleanest city in Africa.
We are now here at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, where we've caught up with the Deputy Minister, Mr. Benito Owusu-Bill, also helping to clean Accra.
They say charity begins at home. So when from the presidency to the sector ministries and all the executives get involved in a cleaning exercise, and if we are to do this often, then what it means is that we are showing a good example to the people, and the people will also emulate and also copy and do the same.
Now, workers of the Jaimai Communications, the company belonging to deported Indian businessman Ashok Sivaram, have given government 1 week to allow their employer back into the country. Mr. Sivaram was on Sunday, March 11, arrested and put on plane back to India by officers of the Ghana Immigration Service in a manner his Ghanaian wife describes as inhumane, considering his stature as an upright business executive. It followed a Supreme Court ruling quashing a High Court decision ordering a restoration of his residence and work permits. The court held that he should have petitioned the Interior Minister before rushing to court and has since sent in that petition. But even before a response comes from the minister, his workers are unhappy and are vowing to protest until their boss is allowed back into Ghana. Joy News' Hannah Odami joined the workers and filed this report.
So this is the second of such demonstrations by workers of Jaimai Communications. They are protesting the deportation of their employer Ashok. And we all know that on Sunday he was deported back to India as a result of some issues he has with immigration service. I'll talk to Richard, who is the deputy administrator, to tell us why they keep demonstrating. Now, Richard, this is the second of such demonstrations.
Yeah.
What exactly do you want?
All we are seeking is that we need him back.
Okay.
That is our message.
Okay.
We need him back. Okay. It's as simple as that.
Okay. So are you trying to say that without his presence you can work?
Yes, it's just like a father in the house who is no more at home. We don't want to be single parented. Yeah. We need him back. That is our message.
How long are you going to continue to do this? Because right now he has some issues with immigration that he's dealing with. So till that solution is found, will you continue to do this?
Yeah, we will continue to do it till he comes.
Won't you be working so that at least you generate revenue also?
Yeah, that is what we want to tell the president. That yes, our demonstration is what? It's affecting our work. Because we are supposed to what? To do a job of which we are going to pay a tax of it. So if we are not working, there will not be any revenue to pay to him.
Then whilst all this tussle is being sorted, why don't you get back to work? At least you have done one demonstration so that that issue is sorted. Then you can also generate revenue.
So when is he coming? When he comes, we will get more jobs. And that is what we want.
So you're not going to work till he comes?
We are not going to work till he comes.
What happens to the company then?
That is, yes, that means Ghana don't want investors.
You have held this demonstration twice. Who exactly are you directing?
We have written a petition as the court directed, the Supreme Court directed, that we should what? They were giving him 7 days to write a petition to the Interior Minister. So we submitted the petition to the Interior Minister, to the Minister of Labour, and then the Ghana Immigration Service, as well as the President.
And what response have you gotten so far?
Apart from the acknowledgement that we received, till now we've not received any.
You haven't had any issue where you've been told that this day meets them for some kind of dialogue?
Not yet.
Okay, so right now you haven't heard from them and you are demonstrating. So what next will you do? Because right now he's not in the country and you say you're not going to work till he comes.
Yes. Yeah. Our next action is that to march to the Immigration Service through the Interior Minister.
When is that going to be?
They are giving them about 7 days. Soon. Very soon. As soon as possible.
So for how long have you not worked?
Since Monday.
Since Monday?
Yes.
At the end of the month, you will expect some salary. Where is that going to come from?
It's going to come from him. And he's the only signatory we have too.
Okay.
That is our cry. He's the only signatory we have. How are we going to top?
But you have to work so that at least maybe he might even come before the end of the month, so that he can sign some money for you.
He can sign some money for us. Yeah. That is if he's here.
So let's assume that let's assume that everything is going to work out and by next week or next 2 weeks he's in. If you are not working and he comes, how is he going to get the money to pay you?
He's going to get the money to pay us.
How?
Because it's going to affect the company.
Yeah.
That is it. Because instead of us being productive...
That's exactly what I'm saying. So are you okay for fitting your salary just to continue asking that government brings him back?
Yes, because we want equal justice.
So you don't mind if you forfeit your salary?
For sure.
Now, concerned Ghanaians may have to march either to the Flagstaff House or Parliament to demand passage of the Right to Information Bill. That's one of the options being pushed by members of the RTI coalition. With a little over a week to the date President Akufo-Addo's government gave itself to pass the bill, there's no sign of it in the business statement for next week, except for a brief explanation from the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Wusu.
Government has always been committed to. We work through procedures. In 2000, and as at the close of 2016, we had practically finished. But we work with time. Once the time elapsed, we had to come and start afresh. So as soon as this is brought back, I'm sure we will have no difficulty because a lot of the work had been done. The original bill was just like the right was for government and he's giving you a small thing. So we rewrote the bill to make it show clearly that the right belonged to Ghanaians and that There are restrictions only for safety and so on. So that is why we took so long. But I tell you, as soon as it comes back, we'll work with speed to ensure that it is passed.
Well, a member of the RTI coalition, Mina Mensah, who's also head of the Africa office of the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, is not buying this explanation.
I don't think he's talking about having to rewrite it now, because in 2013, 14, 15 and 16, I was part of the group that worked on it. Honorable Joe Osei was part of that group. Honorable Alban Bagbin was part of that group. It was a lot of members, the members of the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. We practically reworked. In fact, the committee worked on it, sat with civil society organizations. We engaged not once, not twice, severally. And we all agreed that we had a good law. And so
So there's no point in rewriting?
No. I'm thinking that he's referring to what was done earlier on and not what is happening now.
She says it's about time Ghanaians took further action about passage of the bill, which she says would have been a teenager by now if it had been human.
We could just mobilize en masse, walk to cabinet, and ask them to tell us exactly what is happening.
Okay.
Or an easier way is engage your MP. That is much easier than the whole of Ghana rising to. But there should be action on the part of all of us who call ourselves Ghanaians, because you see, that bill would help us. We are talking about Ghana beyond aid, and unless you have information and the right kind of information,
you're powerless.
You are powerless. You do have MPs. Everybody has an MP. Every MP comes from a political party.
Right.
Some of those MPs are members of cabinet.
True.
They ought to be able to tell their constituents what is happening to the bill. They ought to be able to tell constituents why they are not willing to cede some of the power that has been given to them by us, the citizenry, back onto the citizenry. They need to be telling people why the bill is 17 years. Next year, the bill will be old enough to vote if it was a human being. The bill is a teenager now. It is a teenager now. So they should be able to tell their constituents exactly why it is so difficult for them to pass the Right to Information Bill.
I'm Arba Kumson. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a short break now, but still ahead, research work by the Center for European Studies and the Center for Migration Studies at the University of Ghana has revealed poverty is not the overarching reason why Ghanaians embark on illegal journeys to Europe. We'll bring you details after this break.
It's a misconception out there. People are thinking once they get to Europe, they will become rich overnight. And we are saying that is not the case.
You're welcome back. Now, research work by the Center for European Studies and the Center for Migration Studies at the University of Ghana has revealed poverty is not the overarching reason why Ghanaians embark on illegal journeys to Europe. According to Director of Migration Studies, Professor Joseph Tay, from the study conducted, a number of migrants make such trips for many other reasons, including social factors like marriage. He's been urging issues of unequal trade, unemployment, and environmental change be addressed to keep Ghanaians home. He's been speaking at a lecture themed Interrogating the Forces Behind Migration from Africa to Europe.
The very important thing over here is that the causes of migration are complex and they're multifaceted. So you are dealing with economic factors, you are dealing with political factors, you are dealing with environmental factors. Most of the time people are talking about poverty, and we are saying poverty is just one of the factors, one of the reasons why people will want to move. But what is also important is there's a misconception out there. People are thinking once they get to Europe, they will become rich overnight. And we are saying that is not the case. that if you get to Europe, you don't have the necessary skills, you don't have the necessary job. You may rather find yourself in conditions that you don't want to see. Your rights may be violated. So migration is good, but people have to plan for it. They have to ensure that they have the right documents before they embark on the journeys. And then we also want to caution people that if they want to use connection men to migrate irregularly through the deserts, there are dangers in there. Some of them may lose their lives. So people can go though, but they have to plan their movements.
How did you come about these? I don't know if there are some statistics to back this particular one. What are some of the mechanisms you went through to come out with this?
So we have relied on secondary data, which has also given us ideas about the number of people that are going through the European coast. And as you've seen some of the figures that we have presented, in the first quarter of 2016 alone, 175,000 people have gone from Africa to Europe irregularly. And we have also said that you have a lot of people dying. Over 3,000 people have died, even just in that year alone. And so these statistics are based on what has been collected by IOM and other international organizations. But we also conducted primary research to look at the reasons why people want to move from Ghana. In that research, we also spoke with people who have been deported. So some of them traveled, some of them tried it 5 or 6 times, and they have come back and they still want to go. So we want to understand why they still want to go, having seen all the dangers. And it is through that research that we came to the conclusion.
Now, on her part, Spanish ambassador to Ghana, Alicia Rico Perez del Polga, wants Africa to work to address issues that push Ghanaians to embark on these deadly journeys. She believes with the collaboration of European countries, opportunities could be created in Ghana for the teeming youth.
We have to work together in a spirit of partnership, of mutual responsibility, of solidarity, and in full respect of human rights. One of the most perfect examples of this cooperation and partnership is the Euro-African Dialogue on Migration and Development, known as the Rabat process. This process started in 2006. It was launched thanks to the impetus of France, Spain, and Morocco. And nowadays, 57 countries from West and Central Africa, as well as 27 member states, Norway, Switzerland, the European Commission, and the ECOWAS, cooperate to manage all aspects of migration. Recently in Accra, as you know, on the 27th of October, there was a senior officials meeting that Ghana hosted, and we prepared a new action plan and that will be adopted, a multi-annual cooperation program that will be adopted in the summit of the Rabat process in 2018. I would just like to stress that we should never focus only on the negative aspects of migration. Migration has many benefits, and European countries need orderly and legal migration, and we need to fight together against criminal networks that take advantage of irregular migration.
And still on this issue, Professor Ransford Jampo of the Center for European Studies at Legon believes tertiary level students must disabuse their minds of the notion that the only employment opportunities are out of Ghana.
Our research and survey has indicated that so many students are oftentimes in a hurry to leave the shores of the country after school, and yet they have no idea about the dangers of migration. They have no idea about what happens, the various issues and challenges that people go through in trying to migrate. I think we made a point that migration itself is not bad per se, but the irregular migration that leads to a lot of people trying to flee or trying to use unauthorized channels and unauthorized routes to move out of the country is so dangerous. As a result of it, there are so many deaths that are reported, on the desert and on the inappropriate routes that are used. And as a nation, we cannot continue to dissipate our valuable or invaluable human resource through such means. And so we met today to interrogate the issues, and it's come out quite clearly that yes, migration is okay, but we should be able to put in place policy interventions and measures to halt irregular migrations. I think it's been put out there that governments of the day or governments of developing countries like Ghana would have a lot of things to do to ensure that our people after school stay. They have to put in place policy measures that assures the young people that after school they would be able to make ends meet here. I think it's also been put out there that students themselves must also be patient. Some people have not even finished school and yet they are thinking about leaving. And some people, after finishing school, they don't even bother to look for employment. They've been told that it is difficult to find jobs here, and so they will not even look for it at all. They just want to leave. It doesn't help the nation.
You're still watching Joy News Prime, and coming up next in business, IMF confident Ghana can implement critical measures needed to pass program review tests, which may include increasing taxes and reducing borrowings. And then, later on in the bulletin, Upper West Region Police arrest 3 butchers said to be members of a livestock stealing syndicate responsible for the theft of 3 pregnant goats. You don't want to miss that.
Hello again, good evening to you. Time now for some business news updates. The IMF is confident government would be able to implement those critical measures to pass the program review test. This should pave way for the IMF board to approve disbursement of over $200 million to support the economy. There are fears government may struggle with some prior actions, which reports say may include increasing taxes and reducing borrowings. The IMF country representative Natalia Koliadina would, however, not confirm these reports. A report by George Riafe.
The IMF was reacting to reports that the board meeting might not come on as expected. This is because government is still struggling to meet some of the critical conditions that will pave the way for the IMF board to approve the disbursement of over $200 million to support the country's import need. But the IMF country representative Natalia Koliadina tells Joy Business they have made a lot of progress in their discussions with government.
I would say that revenue mobilization is very important, and I would say that it is not really ourselves who are driving now the program. The program is being driven by the government. And I know that the government is very much interested in stepping up its work on revenue mobilization. And you remember that they have already started implementing measures in terms of improving compliance last year. For example, they introduced paperless customs processing documents. They have been working on a number of issues, including improving the data, mechanizing the data, tax filing and processing of taxes. I think that these are all positive developments.
Despite this optimism from the IMF, it is still not clear for now whether the board meeting will come on as expected on April 9. On plans by government to issue $2.5 billion Eurobond before June this year, the IMF country representative says they have given their blessings to the move, but this should be subjected to meeting some critical conditions.
I would say more generally in April, because you know, George, that it is also related to our timeline in terms of producing documents, and you also know that at the time of the spring meetings and the annual meetings, board meetings are far and few in between, so it's quite difficult to schedule a board meeting on a specific day in April. So I would refrain to committing myself to any specific day.
Not putting yourself to the date, but I looked at the prior actions and I engaged some people in government, and what I get from them is that it's not possible for that meeting to come on April 9th.
Well, I am saying that I'm quite confident that we will have a board meeting in April.
But not April 9th.
Well, George, I'm telling you that discussions are still continuing, and we still need to reach final understandings on a few issues. So I think that it is premature to give you any exact date.
But April would happen as you look at that.
I suppose so.
For some analysts, passing the 5th and 6th review is not just about the $200 million cash that will come from the IMF, but the signals that it will send to the country's development partners and investors across the world on their commitment to stabilizing the economy.
Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, EITI, is engaging stakeholders in the middle belt of the country on processes of beneficial ownership disclosures. The move is expected to reiterate how disclosure of beneficial ownership information can be used to fight corruption in Ghana's oil and gas and mining sectors. Here's Prince Appiah.
Currently, beneficial ownership disclosure was part of the EITI standard of 2016, which says that every country who is part of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative is supposed to actually pass a beneficial ownership law by 2020. At the same time, the Financial Action Task Force, under which Interaction Agency Against Money Laundering, which is GIABA in Africa, also requires Ghana to pass a beneficial ownership disclosure law. Not just the international sort of requirement or commitment that we've made already. There is also important that beneficial ownership has been identified as a key tool for fighting corruption. In that, if we're able to disclose persons who hide behind businesses or legal entities to engage in corrupt practices and also abuse of power, as well as circumventing around legal processes, I think it is key that if we have their names disclosed, it will deter such actions. The cost to not having a beneficial ownership is tremendous. We have the Africa Progress Panel, who had done a study in 2011 to say that Africa loses about 79 billion to illicit financial flow, and most of them was found to be because of hidden ownership using shell companies, hiding behind shell companies registered in tax havens to be able to siphon money outside of Africa. With the beneficial ownership disclosure, it will help to disclose persons hidden behind some of these paper companies and shell companies. And I think though we are not even looking at just the commitment, we are looking at the benefit that beneficial ownership disclosure can bring to Ghana, and also tag along with the current fight against corruption. Even in our local sort of milieu or environment, we know that a lot of people in public positions and trusted would actually set up companies without using their name, come back and win contracts for themselves.
And moving on, some importers of electrical products are warning against massive layoffs and close downs should duties at the ports remain high. These importers, who come under the Association of Electrical Dealers under the Ghana Trade Unions of Association, GUTA, say the rise in import duties on electricals has shot up from 10 to 20% in just a year. Charles Aite has more in this report.
The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is not happy with what it describes as the insensitive increase in the number of duties at the ports. Members of the association and also some traders engaged in electrical businesses are threatening to shut down their shops in protest against the situation.
Astronomical hike on the levies and taxes is slap on electrical materials at the ports. This is actually stifling our business, and so therefore we are calling on government to have a second look at a tax levy on imported cables and materials that we have been bringing.
We are rather losing by the day, because it's sort of like the things are already not moving, we are not selling. And you can imagine if I should pay more taxes on my goods, how am I going to sell them? Because the market itself is, dormant. Nobody has the energy and then the strength to buy. The purchasing power is not there.
I have to tone down most of the actions, intended actions, and that's why when I heard that they were going to hit the streets and all that, I pleaded with them and then bring them all here to Customs to talk to Customs to see how best we can solve the situation. And fortunately, they were receptive as to whether they will do what we are expecting is another thing.
It's very difficult to clear our goods nowadays. The values and the import duties, because for instance, the import duties, before we were paying 10%. Now they've increased it to 20%. And you can't add it to your costs. Because if you add it, your price will go up, your selling price will go up, and people will be complaining.
We employ and we pay taxes to support, but now, I mean, the percentage we pay for duties, we can't survive as a business. Some of us are closing our shops, laying the workers off. Where are we going?
So far, traders say the introduction of some 16 levies at the port, including the common external tariffs, is evidence of the unfriendly policies government is taking to generate revenue. Grave concerns there raised by members of the Electrical Dealers Association, bringing up questions as to whether or not this could affect their profit margins as well as shore up the unemployment development in the country. Of course, we do know that government is currently on an industrialization drive, and one may ask whether or not this development complements the move by government. We shall be following up to give you updates as and when. I'm Charles Aita reporting here in Accra.
Now, various financial institutions continue to adopt new digital marketing strategies to become relevant and highly competitive in the banking sector. The latest to join the trio this year is Standard Chartered Bank. Executive Director for Retail Banking West Africa at the bank, Henry D.K. Bai, has been outlining to Joy Business how much of a priority financial technology is to bank's expansion drive.
The future for digital marketing for your bank?
So in Standard Chartered, we believe that, first of all, we're quite sure that digital is the way of banking, not in the future, but in the past, today, and going forward. I'm saying that because already there are many institutions and that are already late in getting on the bandwagon. So we believe that it is the way of banking, not just because it's innovative, it's nice, it's the thing to do, but it's because that's the way our clients want to do banking. That's the way our clients want to do financial transactions. That's the way our clients are living their lives today. And as banks, we've got to go the way our clients are going. So that's the first point. The second point is we believe there is a big ecosystem of many players in the whole financial space. That includes telcos, that includes fintechs, that includes payment card organizations. All of these are organizations, and of course definitely banks and other financial institutions. They are all part of one big ecosystem. I think for us as a bank, we believe we need to evolve in our thinking from seeing other players in the ecosystem as competitors and rather see them as complements to what we do for the client. So I think in our thinking, we must collaborate with all of these institutions to make sure we deliver what our clients are looking for.
And that's all in business tonight. Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. For more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a great weekend.
You're welcome back. Now, a young man who was paralyzed by a stray bullet from a policeman's gun 8 years ago is appealing to the state to come to his aid. The stray bullet hit Stephen Arthur in the spine during an altercation between two police officers at the Bodjase police barrier. Although the police service took up the cost of his treatment, he's yet to get the compensation due him and is appealing to government to release what an Accra High Court last year ordered to be paid to him. There's more in this report.
So it was a new year, and Stephen Arthur, who was just 19 years at the time, had plans himself. Little did he know that a stray bullet from a police officer at the Bodjase barrier would change his life forever. 8 years on, Stephen is bedridden, and the police hospital has become his home.
I'm suffering now. I'm suffering. As I'm talking to you right now, past 2 weeks now, I couldn't eat. My catheter has been infections all over my body, and I'm suffering now. I can't even sleep.
The police hospital, which has become his home for 8 years now, is no longer safe for him. Doctors say an infection he's picked up from the hospital could end his life.
Yeah. When I came police hospital, they treat me well. By about 3 years ago, they told me they discharged me and they have done all their best for me. And now I'm not in any medication. I'm not treated again. They told me they have done what they have to do for me. They have done everything, so they can't do anything for me again.
So for 3 years now, they have not been attending to you?
No, I'm just there. I'm just lying there.
But the police administration said they were going to take care of you till you leave the hospital, and you are supposed to be given some monthly stipends. Are you still receiving it?
Yeah, when former IGP was there, Mr. Alasan, IGP, he told the police administration that every month they have to give me some money so that I have to use to buy food and things that I need for myself. And when he was there, they've been giving me the money. But when he left, when they give me today month, next month they won't give me.
But to whom and where does he go?
Yeah, now because I lost my parents when I was young, so I stay with my auntie at Bojuase when I'm going to school. And when I completed the school, I wanted to do something and start job. And when the incident happened to me, now my auntie too is very old. Now he can't even, she's not doing anything and is not getting money to even come and visit me at the police hospital.
He's not giving up on himself. He wants to study IT, pick up the pieces and begin all over.
I want to continue school because my future was to play football. By now, my situation, I've become paralyzed now, so I can't play the football again. So I want to continue the school so that if I can do my master's in IT.
He's got just one plea.
Then they told me they have to go to court. We have to go to court on November 20th. So we go to court, Human Rights Court too, and the judge decided that they have to give me the compensation. So the judge even asked me, am I okay about the compensation? And I said yes, because I'm suffering now. I want to go.
How much are you to be compensated?
Yeah, they told me it's 800 million OCDs. And I went the court myself. So the AG people said now they have to give me my compensation, but I don't know what is going on right now, and they are still delaying me, and I'm still suffering in the hospital. So I want to talk to the government to help me to leave the hospital.
Sad story there. Now, the Upper West Region Police Command has arrested 3 butchers said to be members of a goat-stealing syndicate in the region. The 3 butchers arrested at Mangwe in the Wa East District have been linked to the theft of 17 livestock, including 3 pregnant goats. Regional Relations Officer ASP Joy Kujo Afagbeji tells Joy News the arrests are significant as thefts of animals in the region has seen a sharp rise in recent times. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
Upper West Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Police Service, ASP Joy Kujo Afagbeji, named the 3 suspects arrested as Musa Abubakar, 22, Isaku Ali, 45, and ex-convict Isaku Adam Sori, 35, all of them butchers. The other members of the goat-stealing syndicate are said to be on the run. The 3 suspects were lined up on Friday at the Wa police station, along with the 15 goats and 2 sheep found in their custody.
Police investigation disclosed that on 16th of March at about 6:45 a.m., complainant and his 3 brothers arrested and brought to the station the aforementioned accused persons, as well as 15 goats and 2 sheep. Police rearrested and detained them for investigation. Further investigation disclosed that accused were arrested same day at 5 a.m. at Mangwe with the animals on 2 motorbikes ridden by the first two accused.
ASP Joy Afagbeji revealed that the suspects were arrested at Mengwe in the Wa'is district by two complainants whose names have been withheld during the wee hours of Friday. He explains, but for the timely arrival of the complainants, the suspects would have been lynched. They nonetheless sustained multiple cuts on various parts of their bodies as a result of the attack from the mob.
A caution statement obtained from Musa Abubakar indicates the syndicate number unknown on the said day and time stole the animals at Mangwe at 4 a.m. on same day. The two were arrested by the complainant and his brothers whilst transporting them on two motorbikes. The two accused led complainant and his brothers to arrest the third accused, Isahaku Ali, for dishonestly receiving the stolen animals.
The police say those arrested will soon be arraigned after investigations have been concluded, whilst efforts are in progress to arrest the remaining suspects. The police are meanwhile appealing to the public to pen their animals and also come forth with information to enable them arrest the other suspects. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
You're welcome back. Now, on to a news item related to one of our top stories. Civil society group Imani Ghana has condemned the manner in which Indian businessman Ashok Sivaram was deported by government. Founding President Franklin Cudjoe says the state could have resolved the issue amicably without having to deport Ashok Sivaram, who owns a firm in the telecommunications sector. Mr. Cudjoe tells Joy News government's actions could send wrong signals to investors who would think the country is not friendly to foreigners. He adds that the drama surrounding the deportation makes it appear someone badly wanted the Indian businessman out of the country.
This matters could have been resolved if there was a collaboration probably with the Indian High Commission and then the Ghana Foreign Ministry as well. I mean, these matters, once they play out in the media out there, they go to affect our ratings as an environment that may not be conducive for foreign investors. And the slightest problem you have with a foreigner, you are busily trying to repatriate him. I cannot say, no matter what he's done, I thought the matter should have been resolved properly. I don't think he's stolen money. I don't think he's, even if he's flouted some rules, it could be dealt with. He must be a very highly placed businessman for the minister to be interested in this matter, you know. Look, there are all kinds of, I'm not justifying anything, but there are all manner of illegal immigrants walking about, and goats and pigs and all the rest going through our borders. And we want to spend so much time on an individual. I think we should be cautious how we go about this thing, because it may come back to bite us. Already we are trying to come out of the plummeting nature of our World Bank's Doing Business Index. And these things go to reinforce that foreigners may not be welcomed. It's looking as if someone is actually bent in getting him out of the country.
Now, the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat has assured government scholarships would be awarded devoid of political affiliation. Instead, they will be given out based solely on merit, according to Registrar of Scholarships, Kingsley Agyemang. All Ghanaian youth who are entitled to the scheme, hence equal opportunities and consideration would be given to all prospective applicants. He was speaking to journalists on the sidelines of a scholarship forum organized by the Volta Regional Coordinating Council in Ho. Fred Kwame Asari's report read to you.
For the first time in the Volta region, the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat organized a forum to explain how the scheme works. The Registrar of Scholarships, Kingsley Agyemang, explained that the forum is meant to encourage more students to apply for scholarships. He stressed that any applicant who meets the requirements will not be denied scholarship on grounds of political affiliation.
Previously, what has happened here now is a clear demonstration that the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat really has a very transparent system. My thinking or my belief is that everybody gathered here is from the Volta region. and is devoid of political affiliation, empowering the voter youth as the themes said, the role of scholarship. So I can say, now that I'm in the helm of affairs and the secretariat, transparency is very key. Running you guys through the vetting, the shortlisting, the vetting, the interview, everybody can see that it's a real transparent thing.
He also hinted that pragmatic measures are being taken to ensure scholarships are paid on time to avoid agitation from beneficiaries.
Excellency, the President appointees, for instance, me at the Scholarship Secretariat and my management team, we understand what revolving liabilities are. I mean, gone are the days when the Scholarship Secretariat was just a post office. We were sending people out there just because we want to send them out. No, it is not happening this time around. Now you go through a check and we make sure that funding is available before we send you out.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, who was a beneficiary of government scholarship, advised the youth not to be skeptical about government scholarships.
People in the village, in my village, who were my mates, were more brilliant than myself, but they are still in the village because they didn't have the opportunity to go to school. Some of the young people here, if they are given the opportunity to go to school, they will be great men and women. So let us pay very much particular attention to this scholarship issue. And we as the VRCC and the various assemblies will be prepared to assist. And if we have to drive to the Scholarship Secretariat every week because of you, we shall do that. Sure. So,
Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Now, you may have noticed that temperatures have risen to scorching levels in recent days. Health experts are advising against the continuous stay in the sun so that people will avoid its negative impact on health. We're told that traders at the market are particularly exposed and tend to often develop headaches. Hanodame of our health desk has been speaking to some of these traders on how they are coping.
Out on an assignment and my shoes need change. My crew and I are close by the Tama station here in Accra, and so we move in there to find a replacement. Well, 5 minutes after negotiating with the trader, Papa Kwesi, I simply can't stand the heat of the sun, so I asked him how he manages to sell with the sun virtually in his face all day long.
The sun is hot, but you have to sell because of you have children in the house. If you don't sell, how you manage to eat with your family?
Yeah, how about getting a kind of shade to cover you so that you don't feel the direct impact of the sun?
Here is a station, so you can't get anything to cover you because very soon the car will move and different car will come. So if car is coming to move, you have to pull your this thing out. You understand? So
day in, day out, you are under the sun.
You are in the sun every day.
Does it have any impact on you?
Okay, me, I don't have any effect.
Well, it appears he's not the only one. AC, who sells deodorant spray, says she's unable to sell as she used to because of the blistering heat.
Because the sun is scorching so much, I occasionally have to go under a shade, and that affects my productivity.
For Amina, the iced water seller, business must go on, however, so she resorts to medication when she falls ill due to the impact of the sun. This practice, according to Dr. Dennis Bote, is dangerous as the side effects is likely to lead to long-term health implications.
At this point, they don't see the effect, but give them 20, 30 years. That is when you feel the effects of things that you have been exposed to decades ago. When the weather is so hot, you get onto the sun, the slightest thing you do, you are tired, especially for those whose work is outdoor. After being exposed so much to the sun, who have these rashes appearing on their skin, and sometimes itchy, sometimes it's painful. Skin cancer and those things are long-term effects. In the shortest term is exhaustion, heat strokes, heat rashes, dehydration, which can lead to somebody feeling dizzy, or they can collapse out of excessive dehydration that they may experience because of the heat.
For some commercial drivers, however, the heat is good for business.
I'm having air conditioner actually in my car, but the AC will be on, but still the sun is scorching very hard. A lot of people have been taking the job just because of the weather. They don't want to stand on it just for a second.
How about those driving their own air-conditioned cars?
Oh, I just dropped off from my car, so it's not like I'm going to walk too far from where I'm buying my stuff in. If you don't have an AC car, sometimes it's very uncomfortable, because if you have business doing in town, it means that you have to find your way through the sun.
My curiosity led me to speak to other people, and they shared with me the innovative ways they have come up with to deal with the impacts of the sun.
I managed to pick my towel in case I'm sweating, then I clean up, and once I'm sweating, I'm losing water, then I drink more water.
Very hot. By me, I use my glass to protect my eye.
And you drink lots of water?
Yes.
How many have you taken so far today?
2.
I have my water bottle there. Seriously, when I was coming out, I never knew this was how the sun was going to be like. And so that's why I did not bring an umbrella.
If you aren't doing any of these, here are some tips from Dr. Bote that you may want to consider.
When you are going to step out into the sun, it is important that you wear things that are lighter, clothing that are lighter, ideally clothing that are cotton. It's important that in such times the colors you wear should be light colors and not dark colors, which attract more heat to your skin. These are the times where it will be even necessary to use umbrellas when you are walking in the sun. An umbrella is not only for when it's raining. Again, you would need to have maybe white or light-colored umbrellas, not the dark ones. It's good and ideal to have some bottle of water with you. Make sure that you are well hydrated all the time. These are the times that you need dark shades. It's needful, at least if you have something dark, to protect the eye. To all intents and purposes, if you have a child and you are sitting in the heat, it is better to find a place that is shady, to keep the child rather, a place that is shady and a place that is airy for the child to be. And if you want to be on your sun, be on your sun.
For me, it's the intake of water, and lots of it, I must say. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
Now, President Akufo-Addo is launching a magazine dedicated to telling the story of Ghana abroad. The Diaspora magazine, which highlights tourism and investment potentials of Ghana, aims to lead the way abroad to attract interest from the investment community. Presidential correspondent Elton Broby joins us live from the Flagstaff House with details of the launch. Hello, Elton.
Yes, Arawa.
So tell us more about this magazine that is supposed to sell Ghana to the world.
So this is put together by the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and the diaspora community. They put together this magazine, and it highlights the investment potential of Ghana. The target group is for the investment community, especially those in the West. Now, the magazine takes a look at where and how investment can be channeled into the economy of this country. President Akufo-Addo was expected to launch the magazine. Unfortunately, we are told that he has other engagements. So the Chief of Staff took that opportunity upon herself, and then just a few seconds ago launched the magazine and encouraged the Ghana embassies abroad and the high commissioners to sell the content of the magazine to the investment community, because ideally, government is looking at attracting foreign support without necessarily asking for money. And according to her, that is the primary pillar behind the government, the Ghana Beyond Aid mantra being championed by President Akufo-Addo. Now, people from the embassies, from the Ghana embassies abroad, their representatives were here. The diaspora community who put together this particular document, together with support from the GIPC, were also here. A short video about Ghana, the potential that it has for those interested in investing in the country was also highlighted before the magazine was launched. What I've been told is that it will be distributed to the target group, airports, supermarkets across the country, so that the Ghana story can be told for those who take interest in reading.
All right, Elton Brobe is our presidential correspondent coming to us live from the Flagstaff House, where President Akufo-Addo is launching a magazine dedicated to telling the story of Ghana to the world. And in the headlines, government workers suspend business for 2 hours to clean up their offices in line with the president's promise to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa. Right to Information Bill Coalition urges mass action by Ghanaians to pressure government to pass the bill into law. Ghanaian employees of Indian businessman deported last Sunday staged protests to demand that government allow him back into the country. In business, IMF confident Ghana can implement critical measures needed to pass program review tests, which may include increasing taxes and reducing borrowings. And research work by University of Ghana reveals poverty is not the overarching reason why Ghanaians embark on illegal journeys abroad.